In this video, I demonstrate how to set up a continuous deployment process using GitHub, AWS Codebuild, and EC2, and EC2's cron scheduler, so that whenever I make changes to my project in my local and I push those changes to GitHub, then Codebuild automatically builds that into an image with the latest tag, and it stores that into ECR. And then once a day, or whatever frequency you set, EC2 will pick up the latest image from ECR and run that version of your project on the web server. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go into my project folder and create a new file called .gitignore. Here I'm going to list all the folders that I don't want to push into my repository. And those are going to be pycache.venv, .web, and inside of my app folder, pycache. Let's save that. And now I want my project folder to be the main folder in my Explorer. So I'm going to go to File, Open Folder, and I'm going to navigate until I get to my project folder. I'm going to hit OK. On the left side, I'm going to click on Source Control, and then I'm going to click on Publish to GitHub. I want to publish to a private repository, and after connecting with my GitHub account, this is what I see. So right now I have 6 staged changes. Now, before I push all the changes, I want to write a message describing what the changes are about. So I'm just going to say initial commit, and then I'm going to click on commit. It says make sure you configure your username and user email in Git. Let's open Git log. And these are the 2 lines that I want to run. So I'm going to copy and go back to the terminal and then paste. And now I'm just going to edit this with my information and my email as well. Now let me check the global settings, and those are my details. So I'm going to go back to source control, and I'm going to hit commit. Now down here I see my first set of changes, and if I go to my repository, I see that we just pushed my project. And if I click on my project, then I don't see any of my files yet. I'm going to go back to source control, and next to changes, I'm going to open more options. I'm going to click on push, and it says your repository has no remotes configured to push to. I'm going to click on add remote and then add remote from GitHub. I'm going to click on my project, and for the remote name, I'm going to do main and enter. I'm going to cd into my project folder. Then I'm going to do git status. From my repository, I'm going to copy these command lines and paste, enter. Now if I refresh my page, then I see that my files got pushed. Before we move forward, I'm just going to add my Docker file, and let's move the Docker file as well as Docker entry point. Let's drag these out, move. So I'm going to click on stage all changes and then hit commit, and then let's sync the changes. This action will pull and push commits from and to origin main. Okay. Now I'm going to go to ECR and create repository, and I'm going to name my repository like that. And then I'm going to hit create, and I'm going to copy the URI because I'll be needing that later. In my project folder, I'm going to create a new file called buildspec.yml, and here I'm going to write instructions for my continuous deployment process. I'm going to start with version 0.2, and then for phases, I'm going to have pre-build, build, and post-build. The commands for pre-build are going to be echo, logging into Amazon ECR, AWS ECR, get login password, region, whichever region you're in, pipe, Docker login, username, AWS, password, standard input, followed by the ECR URI, image tag, latest, and then the build commands are going to be echo, building the Docker image, Docker build, platform, Linux AMD 64, -t, the name you want to give your image, followed by dot, and then Docker tag, the name of your image, latest, followed by the ECR URI, / the name of your image, $image tag, and lastly, your post-build commands are going to be echo, pushing the Docker image to ECR, Docker push, followed by the ECR URI, / the name of your image, $image tag, and then echo, build completed successfully. Now at the bottom, I want artifacts, files, which is empty brackets. I'm going to get rid of the spaces here. I'm going to make some correction here. and delete this part starting from the slash and what I thought to be the image name. I'm going to remove this part down here as well. Let's drag this out and move, save, back to source control, stage this change, write my message, commit, sync change, okay. Now I'm going to search for Codebuild. Let's click on this, and I'm going to create project. I'm going to call this my project name _ deployment. Let's scroll down, and for the source, I'm going to select GitHub. It says you have not connected to GitHub, so I'm going to go to Manage Account Credentials, and I'm going to click on Create a new GitHub connection. And for the connection name, this is going to be my GitHub user. Let's connect to GitHub. I authorize AWS connector for GitHub. I'm going to install a new app, and I'm going to click on my profile. Let's do only select repositories, and I'm going to choose my project repository, and then install and authorize. I'm going to hit connect. Now let's go to repository, and I could select my project. Let's scroll down, let's create a new service role, scroll down, and I'm going to select use a build spec file. And I was supposed to type buildspec.yml, scroll down, and create build project. And now we have our Codebuild project. Now I'm going to click on the service role. Now I want to add more permissions. I'm going to click add permissions and attach policies. I'm going to search for Codebuild and select admin access. I'm going to search for code pipeline and select full access. And I'm going to search for EC2 and select full access. Now let's scroll down and add permissions. I'm back in Codebuild, and I'm going to select Edit. Let's scroll down to Webhook, and I'm going to select Rebuild every time a code change is pushed to this repo. I'm going to expand Webhook event filter groups and select Push and Pull Request Merged. Let's scroll down and select Update Project. Now I'm in my project repo, and I'm going to select Settings and click on Webhooks, and we can confirm that a webhook was added by Amazon. Now I'm back in my project, and I'm going to make a small edit, just like that. And I'm going to go to source control. I'm going to stage this change, write some message, hit commit, and then sync changes. Okay. Now let's go to our Codebuild project, select build history, and check out the latest run. Now we could see that the build completed successfully. And if I go to ECR and click on my project repository, then here we have the latest image. I'm here in my EC2, and I'm going to set it up so that it automatically pulls the latest image from my ECR. That way, Docker will always be running the latest image. So I'm in my user directory, so I see that I have a home folder. Let me cd into home, and then cd into Ubuntu. Now here, I'm going to create a new shell script. I'm going to do nano deploy from ecr.sh, and then I'm going to start with #!bin/bash, and I want to set some variables. Region is going to be US East 1. Repo URI is going to be from my ECR. The container name, I'm going to call it my project app, and then echo, displaying the date, starting update process. Now I want to log into ECR by doing AWS ECR get login password, region being the variable region, pipe docker login, username AWS, password stdin, followed by the repo URI. Now I want to pull the latest image with docker pull repo URI : latest, and then I'm going to stop and remove old container if running. If docker ps -q -f, the name is container name, then docker stop the container name, docker remove the container name, and fee. Then I'm going to start new container. I'm going to do docker run -d --name, call it the container name, -p 80:80 repo URI : latest, and then echo the date, update complete. I'm going to make the following modifications. After docker ps, I'm going to do -a, and then after name equals, I'm going to do /. I'm going to wrap container name in curly brackets, followed by a $sign. I'm going to get rid of docker stop, and I'm going to add double pipe true. And what I think I need to do is revise the ports so that instead of 80, it's 3000:3000 and -p 8000:8000. Let me Control X, Y, and enter. Let me check my logs, and this time my error is because of port 8000. Let's see what's using 8000. With sudo lsof -i :8000, and it looks like I have Docker using port 8000. So I'm going to do docker ps --filter and in quotes publish 8000. Let me stop this container with docker stop and the container ID, and then let me remove this container with docker rm and the container ID. Now let me try sudo lsof -i :8000. Let me check my logs. It says that the image is up to date. Let's go to my web page and refresh. And here's the update that I was looking for. Now I want to check back in a few minutes to make sure I'm not getting the same port issue. Let me check my logs again. I'm getting the conflict with my container name. Let's go back to my shell script. I also need to add -f, and I just want to print stopping and removing existing container, $container name. Let me control X, Y, and let's check back in a few minutes. Now it says it stopped and removed the container without any issues. Let's do the final test. I'm going to go back to my project file. I'm going to make another edit like this, save, stage this change, write a message, and commit, and sync changes, and okay. It looks like my build failed. Let's check it out. And I reached my unauthenticated pull rate limit with Docker. If I go into the Docker documentation, it says my pull rate for every 6 hours is 100 per IP4 address. So let me go to Crontab -e, remove this line until I replenish my limit. I'm going to do Control X, Y, and enter. And let me try this again in a little while. In my Docker file, I'm going to replace Docker's Python with ECR's Python. And I'm going to go to my project in Codebuild, click on Edit, scroll down to Environment, click on Additional Configuration, and Enable Privilege. Let's update project. I'm going to go back to my EC2 and open the shell script. Actually, I want to go to Crontab -e, and I want to run the shell script every 5 minutes. Control X, Y, enter. Let me go to my project file. I'm going to make a small edit like this. Save, stage the change, write a message, commit, also stage this change, write a message, and commit. Sync changes, okay. Let's go to Codebuild and check out our latest run. Looks like it's pulling from the ECR library. It says build completed successfully. Let's go to my website and refresh. I don't see any updates. Let's check my logs. It did say that the update completed. Let me check one more time. And when I refresh the page, I finally see the update. So now that we see this working, I'm going to go back to the cron, and I'm going to revise the schedule to run once a day at midnight. So let's Control X, Y, enter. And let me make one more edit to my project. Call this version 2, save, stage the change, write a message, commit, sync changes, okay, and let's check back tomorrow. It is now the next day. I'm going to go into my website and refresh, and here's the change that we expected. So with that, we've successfully set up our continuous deployment into our EC2 instance.